And Mark McGwire knows it's gone. Getting so excited, forgets to touch first base. And Sammy looks on approvingly. And it took a little over 32 seconds for Big Mac to get around the bases. A round of applause for Sammy and for the sold-out crowd at Busch. A hug from former teammate Gary Gaetti, saluting the crowd. And at home, a hug to Scott Service, and then maybe the best hug of all, as he will lift up his son Matthew, congratulating Dad on number 62. As you look at it again, McGwire giving a hug to Sammy, who ran in from right field, as did most of the Cubs, to congratulate him and be a part of history. McGwire would then go over to embrace the family of Roger Maris. Roger Maris's widow was hospitalized once again with an irregular heartbeat. From what we're being told, she is in satisfactory condition. Mark said that he felt Roger Maris was in his heart. And the magical history tour continues for Mark McGwire. 341 feet, 15 homers in his last 21 games. So much for buckling under the pressure. McGwire, born 2 years to the day after Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's home run mark, helps the Cardinals take a 6-3 lead in this one. Of course, there is playoff implications for Cubs fans. 6-3 right now, top of the ninth. Sammy Sosa is at the plate. He's 1 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. But it's Mark McGwire's night, 1 for 2 with 2 walks. In McGwire's first plate appearance after setting the record, he was intentionally walked for the first time since August 12th. And he's closing in on the National League record for most walks in a season, which is currently held by Barry Bonds. McGwire's home runs have traveled nearly 5 miles in this historic season. As that total suggests, he has hit some titanic blasts, but the record breaker was not one of them. In fact, number 62, the shortest of the season, but certainly the most memorable, only 341 feet. Well, Peter, we were there in Toronto when Joe Carter hit the home run. I was sitting next to you, and I wondered if we could ever top that moment and that piece of drama. Where does this home run tonight rank in baseball lore?
Well, I don't know if it ranks with those home runs like Joe Carter or Dusty Rose or Bobby Thompson or even Fisker, Kirk Gibson, in terms of changing pennant races or changing World Series or changing history. But for what it did for baseball, I think this is one of the most important nights the game has had, or most important weeks, for a couple of reasons. I think, one, I think it's fascinating how many women have said to me how much they have been drawn into this drama between McGwire and Sosa, that these two guys can be so human, that McGwire can break down in these press conferences and cry, the relationship with his son, that he can talk about being divorced, still having a very close relationship with his ex-wife, and still being able to raise a child well. And the other thing, and I think the dignity that all the baseball players have brought in here, they have become likable. Baseball players need to be likable because there's so much downtime. But I think the respect that they've shown, and I really believe that one of the mistakes that the NBA made is that they so much focused, so much attention on Magic, on Bird, and Michael, and they said, these guys are above the game. None of them believed they were, but the league said they were, and I think we have a whole generation of young players who believe they are. I think McGwire and Sosa and all those people, from Mark Grace to Scott Service to Juan Gonzalez stopping in Texas to Mo Vaughn stopping in Boston, they have shown that they believe that McGwire and Sosa are simply men working on the restoration of something much greater than any of them.
And we've seen the resurrection of Mark McGwire. 6 years ago, I did a Sunday conversation with him, and he said, you know what? I thought that maybe I was washed up. I listened to the whispers when they said, can he catch up to a fastball anymore? Am I a one-dimensional player? We have seen a resurgence for a guy who's hovered around 300 this year, who's done everything the Cardinals have asked, and then some. It's been a wonderful story for him.
Well, it really has, and I think both of these guys, with McGwire and Sosa, you just can't make a judgment on somebody who's 23 or 25 or 27 years old. Great athletes make adjustments. So when they learn the adjustments that McGwire made in learning some balance, being able to get out of the way of pitches. You remember he got beamed a lot, and there was a lot of talk that he had some fear at the plate, and he learned with Doug Rader to get some balance. He got a little bit more leverage in his swing. Sammy Sosa's learned to be more patient. The fact that the two of them combined are over 300, when there are a lot of people who said, oh, these guys will never hit 250, is, as you said, a wonderful story.
And it's been a resurrection for Roger Maris. In all fairness to what he went through in 1961, he's always been in the shadow of Mickey Mantle. And it's almost happened, you know, an overnight sensation, what, 30 years, 35 years after the fact, which I guess in some regards is a shame, but also it's a blessing in disguise for his sons to be able to witness this and savor the moment as well.
Well, absolutely, because I don't think anyone ever who knew Roger Maris had any bad feelings about him. I read Tony Kubek's book, 61, which is one of the greatest baseball books ever written, about the relationship with the Yankees, and particularly between Mantle and Maris. All those Cardinals, every time I'm in St. Louis, they just tell such great stories. And I remember as a kid, it being in a hotel coffee shop at the next table to Roger Maris, having my mother say, go get his autograph. I went, oh, no, 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 I wouldn't do that. And out in the lobby, he came up to me, and he said, did you want my autograph? And he gave it to me. And he said, I just want you to know how much I'm thankful that you respected my privacy, which is something I don't have. I've never forgotten that.
And I know that Mark McGwire believes in fate. Roger Maris homered in the 4th inning to break Babe Ruth's mark. Mark McGwire homered tonight in the 4th inning. So he believes that there's some, you know, mystical fate or some God looking down upon him. But when you look at what he's been able to do pressure-wise, is he being penalized when they say you got to play for a winner to be an MVP? And I viewed it as he's the MVP of baseball. What he's done for baseball. Is the MVP of the National League have to be a guy who comes from a team that's in a pennant race?
That's probably the most original idea about the MVP that I've heard in a long time. Matter of fact, it is the most original idea, because I think you make a great point. I think the most valuable person to baseball, and I think that that's, you know, when you say most valuable player, that's a very vague term. We've always tried to, like Barry Larkin a couple of years ago, I really believed he was the most valuable player to that team. I believe that in terms of the pennant race, that Sammy Sosa is the most valuable player in the National League. But as you said, Mark McGwire, what he has done for the game is something that has to be weighed very carefully. And I think that the 32 people who vote for MVP in the National League are going to go right down to the midnight deadline on September 27th, trying to decide where they go, McGwire, Sosa.
We talked about fate. 13 years after Babe Ruth died, Roger Maris breaks his record. And then
the most prestigious record in sports.
Absolutely incredible. What can I say? I mean, I'm almost speechless. I mean, I've been talking about this since January, and I get to 61. It's one swing away, and then next thing you know, I hit a ball that all of a sudden just disappeared on me, and I tell you what, I totally believe in fate, and I believe that's what happened this week, and thank the man upstairs.
Would you tell us what happened in the turn on first?
The turn at first? Well, when I hit the ball, I saw it was on a line drive, and I thought I was going to hit the wall, and next thing you know, it disappeared, and I looked up, and Dave McKay was jumping up, and sort of like missed one big thing, touch first base. So I had to go back and touch it, and honestly, to tell you, that's the first time that, well, at least I think I missed it. The first time I ever had to do that. So, but I'll tell you what, I'll always remember that, and it was a sweet, sweet run around the bases.
Rex, go ahead.
Hey, Rex.
Do you have any idea how you have impacted the game?
I think so right now, I believe, yeah. I tell you what, it's, the whole country has been involved in this, I think, since after the All-Star break, and it's just, people have been saying it's bringing the country together. So be it. I'm happy to bring the country together.
Claire? How does it feel sitting there with your bat next to Roger Maris's bat?
Well, as I went over to the box and talked to Roger's kids, I told them today when I met with the Hall of Fame, they pulled out Roger's bat that when he hit his 61st home run, and I touched it. I touched it with my heart. Now I can honestly say that my bat will lie next to his, and I'm damn proud of it.
Okay, here. What is your next goal?
My next goal? Sleep.
What was it like rounding the bases, Gaetti hugging you, Sammy hugging you, and then meeting the Maris family again?
I honestly have to tell you that I really have to see the tape because I really don't remember it. And I was trying to imagine what it was going to feel like doing that, and I was sort of telling myself I think I'll be floating. I sure in the heck was floating. I have to look at the tape, but I just remember briefly shaking some of the players' hands and you know, signaling to the dugout and the Cubs, and then after that I just hope I didn't act foolish, but I mean, this is history, so can I say one thing? I talked to a good friend of mine today, Jim Corsi. So everybody in Boston, Jim Corsi does know me, and thanks for giving me that hug over the phone today, Jim.
Connor?
Hey, I told you I was going to talk to you after the game today. Thank you.
How are you going to celebrate tonight?
Well, I hope there's a lot of champagne on that flight to Cincinnati. So, I think everybody's going to be drinking except for the pilots.
No. George?
Mark, what does it mean to do it so fast in the 145th game, no asteroids, throw way ahead of anybody else?
What does it mean to do it so fast in the 145th game?
Was it that quick? I didn't. I just it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I mean, I tell you what, the last week and a half, you know, my stomach's been turning, my heart's been beating a million miles a minute. It's to do it that fast. I don't know. I just give thanks to the man upstairs and all of them, Roger Maris, Babe Ruth, everybody's watching up there. But it's what a feat. I tell you what.
Mel? In your wildest dream, did you ever imagine to break the record this quickly?
Not even a chance. I mean, I truly believe that if somebody got to 50 by September, they had an honest shot at doing it, and I got to it pretty quickly.
Over here.
Yeah.
When you took the microphone after hitting the home run, you dedicated it to the people in St. Louis. Talk about how special it was to hit it here.
Well, I tell you what, after yesterday doing what I did for my father and my son showing up just in time, I said what a perfect way to end the week by the last game in the homestand and hitting the 62nd for the city of St. Louis and all the great fans. You know, I had a couple milestones this year, hitting my 400th and 50th on the road, and I really, truly wanted to do it here. I really, truly wanted to do it here, guys, and I did it. Thank you, St. Louis.
What do you have to say to the Oakland A fans? And when you think about where you were in 93 and 94, and you've been healthy all this year, what do you have to say?
Well, I tell you what, I have to thank everybody in the Bay Area for all the support they gave me. I started there. They've been through rocky times with me, through my injuries, through my down year of hitting 201. They were behind me. And I truly believe the times that I was down with the injuries, I truly believe was for a reason. And I think this is the reason I'm sitting here talking to all you guys. So,
Joel? You've carried this with you since the winter, talking about it all year. Do you feel like a big weight has been lifted off your shoulders?
yeah, I don't know how heavy the arch is, but the arch is off my back now.
Bill? What message beyond baseball does this accomplishment send to the country?
I just think it's just put baseball back on the map as the sport. It's America's pastime. And, I mean, you just look at everybody coming out to the ballparks, and you look at all the great players in the game of baseball, and it's been an exciting year. It's not over, and it's a great, great sign.
Steve? Were you aware of how this whole process has evolved you as a person?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to sit here and talk about it, but, yeah.
Bud?
We can talk later about that. Yeah. Who's that? Oh, there you are.
Would you talk about going into the stands and seeing the Maris family?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, today when I touched and held Roger's bat that he hit his 61st, and I just put it against my heart, and that's the first thing that came to my mind when I ran over there, and I told all four of them, and it was just...
Okay, one last question. Mark's obviously in demand.
It was an unbelievable feeling.
Here. Make it
Mary's children remember their father's accomplishment. How will your son, years from now, look back on this?
You've seen how the Maris children have remembered their father's accomplishment. How will your son remember your accomplishment today?
Well, I hope someday that my son grows up, becomes a baseball player, and breaks this.
Okay, Connor, one last one, then we got to let him go. Have you gotten the ball yet?
No, I haven't. No, whoever came on the field and gave me that ball, it wasn't the ball. So it said official league. It didn't say National League, so I said, here, take it back. So it wasn't the ball, so I haven't seen it yet.
Mark, would you hold up both bats for a photo opportunity, and then we'll let you go. What number will it say at the Hall of Fame?
Well, what number will say in the Hall of Fame is, I guess, we'll find out September 27th. All right. Yes. Yes.
Way to go back.
So, relieved Mark McGwire, breaking the Major League record for home runs in one season at 62, and he knows he can't stop there because Sammy Sosa sitting at 58. Mark McGwire certainly spread the wealth around with these home runs this season. 62 homers, hit off 57 different pitches. And if you want to relive that moment again, we'll bring that to you. Mark is set to go onto the field. We'll bring you those festivities as soon as he becomes available to celebrate this moment with the fans at Busch Stadium. The highlights coming up of Mark McGwire's memorable night at Busch Stadium, a beautiful night, particularly if you're a Cardinal fan. And Mark and Sammy mugging for a segment for MTV, a look at where 61 landed, and somebody hoping to find out where 62 would land. Stan Musial on hand. Tony La Russa made it to this game after attending the funeral of his mother. Top of the first, it's Sammy Sosa against Kent Mercker. And McGwire looking on. Sammy with a base hit. Cubs would later score 2 runs in the inning. Bottom of the first, McGwire's first at bat, and the flash cubes clicking. The eager crowd looking on, including his son Matthew.
The 3-0 pitch.
Homered yesterday in the first inning, but not tonight. Still 2-0 Cubs on the ground out. Bottom 4, home plate umpire Steve Ripley will bring out these specially marked baseballs. It's McGwire against Traxel. Traxel gave up more home runs than any other National League pitcher last year, and he gave up a big one. Maybe the most memorable home run in regular season history. Mark McGwire celebrating, jumps by first base coach Dave McKay, and then picks up his son Matthew as he heads home in celebration. Sammy Sosa applauding. Gary Gaetti, former teammate, gives him a hug. So will Scott Service, the man who called the pitch that allowed McGwire to hit his 62nd home run. Greeted by his teammates, and Matthew gets the joyride. Another look at it after Sammy comes in to say hello. And then McGwire, as he spoke in the press conference, an emotional day because got a chance to hold Roger Maris's bat, the bat that Maris used to hit number 61. He spent considerable time with the Maris family, getting to know them, getting to know their father. And Roger Maris's widow was hospitalized once again with an irregular heartbeat today. Couldn't be on hand to watch this moment and watch a moment in history as Mark McGwire, number 62.
And no fans will have this baseball. It just
the ball retrieved by a member of the St. Louis grounds crew. Didn't ask for anything in return. Didn't need to. A piece of history in your hand, handed over to Mark McGwire. 6-3 the final in this one. And a big game for the Cubs, of course, with the wild card implications, but they take a back seat to Mark McGwire. But then so is Mark McGwire. McGwire 1 for 2 with his 62nd. He was walked again twice on the evening, and Mark is set to head on to the field for the ceremonies on Busch Stadium as we join that now.
How do you like this dream we're all dreaming? Isn't it beautiful? What a great day for all of us. Thanks to one man, one extraordinary person, one marvelous athlete, one wonderful guy who has us all in love with him. This is a great evening for Cardinals and all of baseball. Now let's greet our Major League Baseball's new single-season home run leader, Mr. Mark McGwire. Here to make a special presentation to the new single-season home run leader and the biggest name in baseball today, Mark McGwire, is the Commissioner of Baseball, Mr. Bud Selig. Commissioner, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jack. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to be here on clearly one of the most historic nights in baseball history. Mr. Len Coleman. Next, I would like to introduce two people who all of you are familiar. This is clearly one of the proudest and most successful franchises in baseball history. What happened here tonight is a fitting tribute to all of you who have made this the crown jewel of baseball franchises. First, Hall of Famer, a man who broke many records himself, ladies and gentlemen, Lou Brock. The next man, I've been thinking all night how to introduce him. There's only one way. The man, Stan Musial. And now, with great honor, I'd like to introduce some special guests. They have conducted themselves with grace and dignity. The Maris family and their children. I would like to introduce them individually, the Maris children, Susan, Sandra, Randy, Kevin, Richard, and Roger Jr. Mrs. Maris couldn't be with us tonight, but all of us send our very best wishes and a thank you for her graciousness. On behalf of everyone in Major League Baseball, I want to thank both Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa for providing us with a home run chase that has captivated sports fans around the world. You have made this a summer that generations will remember. To acknowledge Mark for breaking the 37-year-old single-season home run record set by the great Roger Maris, I am honored to present Mark the Commissioner's Historic Achievement Award. Mark is the first recipient of this award, and it is only fitting that it is being presented to the player who has broken baseball's most important individual record. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Commissioner Seelig. It goes without saying that Tony La Russa, the Cardinal coaches, and Mark's teammates have certainly enjoyed this chase this summer. And here with a special presentation from the Cardinal players is Cardinal catcher Tom Lampkin.
Well, first of all, we just like to thank the fans that came out and supported us through all the ups and downs that we've had this season. When Mark said in a press conference a few days ago that we had the best fans here in St. Louis, believe me, I've been all over the country, and he wasn't lying. On behalf of the players, the coaches, the staff, we'd like to congratulate Mark on this unbelievable, remarkable feat and thank him for letting us be a part of it. We have a lineup card with everybody's signature on it as our way of saying thanks for the lifetime of memories. We won't forget these as long as we live. Thank you.
One more speaker, one more gift, and then you'll hear from the man of the moment. Here with a special gift from the Cardinals, on behalf of you great fans who have thrilled to the exploits all season, is the Cardinals chairman of the board and the general partner, Mr. Bill DeWitt, Jr.
Thanks, Jack. On behalf of the St. Louis Cardinals and baseball's greatest fans, congratulations, Mark, for accomplishing one of the greatest feats in the history of sports. Your majestic home runs have captivated the nation, and we are proud to have you join baseball's all-time greats as a member of the Cardinals, a 106-year-old storied franchise for which this is clearly a defining moment. And in front of Hall of Famers who saw you today, Lou Brock, Stan Musial, Jack Buck, Red Schoendienst, and at home, Bob Gibson and Enos Slaughter. Your quest for Babe Ruth and Roger Maris has been marked with respect and grace and a wonderful style. We salute you, we congratulate you, and most of all, we thank you. And it goes without saying that one day, number 25 will be parked right up there. Now, as a small memento on this historic occasion, for all that you have done for us in the Cardinal community, please look to the right field wagon gate. A classic car for a classic slugger and true American hero. A '62 Cardinal Red Corvette for 62 home runs.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you feast your eyes on that lovely gift, I want to bring a member of the Cardinal ground crew to the microphone and to the stage. And the reason why is that Mr. Tim Farnaris, a member of the Cardinal ground crew, ended up with the baseball that was hit for home run number 62, and he wants to present it to Mark McGwire.
Mr. McGwire, I think I have something that belongs to you.
I was going to tell you to sit down so we could get up and give him a standing ovation. But you're already on your feet. And the reason you are on your feet is because of this man, number 25, Mark McGwire.
Let's see, where do I start? Well, first of all, thank all the owners here in St. Louis for bringing me over here. And that beautiful car right there. I'd like to thank all my teammates for putting up with all the media for the last couple of months, and really putting up with me. And this belongs to you as well as it belongs to me, and I thank every one of you. To all the Marises, for being so kind, supportive, and understanding the true feeling that their father is in my heart. And when I touched this bat tonight before the game, I knew tonight was going to be the night. And I can honestly now say I can rest my bat alongside Roger Maris's bat in the Hall of Fame, and I'm damn proud of it. To all my family, to my great ex-wife, her husband, to get my son here on time yesterday. Al, you're a rock. I'd I guess finally, to end this night is historical, and when I drove to the ballpark today, I honestly and truly wanted to hit it for the city. You guys have never made me feel more welcome coming here last year. I remember my first at bat, standing ovation, and I'll remember my last one a few years down the line. But I'll tell you what, the best fans in America, the best fans in baseball, thank you. Let's enjoy the night.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for our ball club which is playing very well, it's off to Cincinnati and Houston, so those fans can cheer Mark McGwire and the Cardinals. Now let's hear it one more time to cap off this wonderful evening for Mark McGwire, the new single-season home run king. Our favorite number is 62. Nice going, Mark.
Mark McGwire making his exit at the stadium after hitting home run number 62 in one of the most genuine moments you're going to see in sports. McGwire's homer and the reaction to it is going to be covered all night long by ESPN. We'll be going back to St. Louis for still more live coverage. Baseball Tonight, folks, just getting ready to do their show. They'll be on real soon. But right now, a very timely story. Mark McGwire's 62nd homer no doubt will stand out as one of the greatest home runs in the history of the game, but he certainly has company in that competition.
This one particular time when I went to bat, Charlie Root was pitching. And I looked down at center field and I poured it. I said, I'm going to hit the next pitch ball right past the flagpole.
Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7:15. There it goes. The long drive. If it stays fair, home run.
And 2 on, the Red Sox lead at 2-0 in the 7th inning here at Fenway. Deep to left. Yastrzemski will not get it. It's a home run. A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent.
There's a long drive. That one is going way up. It is off the roof. That hit the transformer up there.
And there's a long drive to right field. This may be the end of the pennant, but it is up and gone. The Yankees win the pennant as Chris Sandler hits a home run.
And it's swung on, fly ball, center field. Dawson at the wall. That ball is out of here, and a home run for Rick Monday.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game on a home run by the Wizard.
From the strike. First pitch hit deep to left field. Way back. Guerrero will look up. Jack Clark has just put the Cardinals ahead. A towering 3-run home run in the 9th inning.
Here's the pitch. There's a fly ball to left field. Downing is going back. It's gone. It is gone. Dave Henderson and the Boston Red Sox have taken the lead. Here's a swing and a high fly ball going deep left, and they do it. Back to the wall goes Berra. It is over the back home run. The Pirates win. And the fly ball to center field is deep. That's going to be way back, and that's going to be gone. Reggie Jackson has hit his 3rd home run of the game. Rhodes cuts at the first pitch, and there goes the ball down the right field line. A home run into the seats, and the ball game's over. That's gone. They might be going to call George Brett out. Well, he's out. Yes, Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out, and Demon Mask.
They're standing up. Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Puckett swings and hits a blast.
coming here from Eckersley. Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. And the Tigers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Maxwell winds and fires. Big Mac. Swing and a shot into the corner. It might make it. There it is. 62, folks. It just got over the left field wall in the corner. And we have a new home run champion.
Yeah, we do. That last homer there will stand out for a long while. Baseball Tonight. It's all over the story. They're coming up real soon. Stay for that all-night coverage of Mark McGwire's 62nd.
To Baseball Tonight. A historical evening here, a historical evening in St. Louis, really a historical evening worldwide. We need to talk about baseball's impact on the world. Alongside Peter Gammons and Dave Campbell, I'm Carl Ravitch. Mark McGwire almost said this was a foregone conclusion on his way to the ballpark. When he was squeezing the bat, he said tonight was going to be the night. Did you ever have that feeling tonight?
I thought it was a great chance. I think we all wanted it so much because it was St. Louis. But I also thought it was amazing to kind of watch all the different things unfurl. Nightline every night. Mark McGwire, Nightline every night. NBC leading with this. I mean, he has become the #1 story in this country. And this is something that hasn't happened to baseball or any sport in my lifetime. And I think it's an amazing story.
I had a chance last night after he hit number 61 to spend about 2 hours with his college coach, Rod Dato, and I said, you know, Rod, that's a lot of pressure tomorrow because, I mean, if he doesn't hit it tomorrow, they're going to go on the road to Cincinnati and Houston, and he wants to do it so badly for the fans. And Dato said, this kid, ever since I've had him, always has been a guy that can handle the pressure. He says it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he did it tomorrow, and tomorrow was today, and he did.
No, he handled it with grace. Of course, his relationship with the media a lot less strained than was the relationship of Roger Maris's deal with the media back in 1961. The Maris family, minus Roger Maris's widow, who was in the hospital again, suffering from an irregular heartbeat, was on hand, and now they are speaking about what they witnessed this evening.
Next to her would be Randy. Who are you? And I'm Roger. And I'm the oldest boy.
How emotional was this for you? Were you happy? Were you sad? Was it mixed?
Well, it was very emotional, as to be expected. Hell, I'm still emotional right now. Just sitting here right now, my body's just numb. What was the rest of the question?
Happy, sad, mixed.
Well, I'm extremely happy for Mark. I think all he's done for baseball, all he's done the last, 3 years now, hitting the home runs the way he's hit them, I couldn't be happier. And for Mark to be the person that he is and to mean what he means to baseball and to the fans of America, I couldn't think of a better person to be the new home run king for single season.
Here. Does the tribute that your father had today, even though his record was broken, make up for anything that happened in 1961?
Well, I mean, today was very special, but it's been going on all year, and the media's been outstanding. For what happened today, well, I mean, it is a feeling I wish everyone could experience for just the appreciation from the fans here today, and to have Mark include us in the ceremony. That was his special day today. I mean, he's out there hitting 62 home runs. It's never been done before. It's Mark McGwire's day, Mark McGwire's moment, and for him to come over and greet our family and give us hugs and let us partake in his day the way he did was just so special, and it's a moment that we'll never forget.
Here. It seems that your father, Roger, may be closer to the Hall of Fame with all this publicity. How important is that to you, and how do you feel about it?
Well, it's very important to me that he gets in the Hall of Fame. I think that it's the final chapter to his career that's kind of lacking. There's no doubt the wave of media that's been supporting him in 1998. I don't think that's going to do anything but help. And I've said all along, if he doesn't make it this year with all the media hype and Mark and Sammy and Ken Griffey Jr. going after the record the way they have, and all the positive things that have been written and his career looked back into and brought to light, then I don't think it'll ever happen.
Can you tell us what Mark said to you when he came into the stands?
Well, it was such a crazy moment. It was such an emotional moment when he came in there. I just remember him saying that, my dad's always going to be in his heart, and and he just feels like he's been there, and my dad just meant so much to him.
You brushed back Randy, you brushed back a tear on the podium. Was it a tear of joy or a tear of sadness?
A little of both. I'm pretty emotional as it is anyway, and I get pretty emotional over stuff like this when big events happen like this. And being born in '61, this had that much more meaning to me. So it was sadness, but Mark's such a great guy, such a great representative of baseball. I mean, what can you say? The guy deserved to do it.
What made you sad?
I don't know if it was sadness. I think just caught up in the moment of everything. Just the emotion of it all, and Dad's held the record for the 37 years, and we never thought we'd see this day come, and I think that's what I was probably a little sad about.
What has this extended weekend in St. Louis been like compared to what you expected when you got off the plane?
Well, I don't know what we really expected to begin with. I didn't know if Mark would hit a home run when we landed here in St. Louis, but to have him do what he did here in St. Louis is just outstanding. Dad played here, had a great career here, loved St. Louis, loved the fans of St. Louis, and for it to happen here the way it did was very, very special. And like I said earlier, for him to include us in his moment the way he did was just pure class, and that just exemplifies Mark McGwire as a person.
How do you think your dad would have felt if he were still alive today?
Well, I mean, I don't think he wants his record broken. I don't think any athlete does. I think he had been happy for Mark and proud for Mark for his accomplishments, and he would have been very proud of Mark as a player, but I think more so as a person, because Mark McGwire is his class, and that pretty much explains Mark McGwire.
Larry? How is your mom doing, and what has her reaction been to all of this?
Well, I don't know what her reaction was tonight. She's in the hospital tonight, so she wasn't able to be here. I imagine her reaction's like everyone else, very emotional and very touched, and I think her state right now, I think she's stable, and I think she's doing fine. The doctors just have to get her medication right, and she'll be fine.
Were you surprised to see Mark jump into the stands and come to you?
Yeah, he's a big guy to be jumping in the stands. I just didn't want to see him get hurt. That'd be the saddest thing. But yeah, I mean, when he came down there and I saw him walking towards us, I kind of thought he might do that, and I kind of hoped he did, because I wanted to just kind of, embrace him for what he did and kind of share in the moment. And for him to come up there and do that and let us partake in that moment, it's outstanding, and it's something we'll never forget.
We're going to take a last one for the Marises.
Kevin.
Kevin, your father owning the record had been somewhat bittersweet. Is there any relief now that someone else owns the record?
I don't know. Go ahead.
What was the question again?
Owning the record has been somewhat bittersweet. Is there any feeling now that the record has been broken, that the bittersweetness has gone?
Are we happy with that, you're asking? Well, I don't think there's any sense of relief. I mean, I'm not happy that the record's gone by any means. I'm very happy for Mark that he's done what he's done, and now that he's a new home run king, I think that's outstanding. But, you know, I wouldn't be happy, and it's not a good feeling to know that my dad's record's gone in that respect. But then I can turn it around, and I'm elated and just so happy for Mark that he's done what he's done, and he fully deserves what he's accomplished. And, you know, he's a special person, and I'm very, very proud that he's got what he's got.
We'll take one last question. When you came here, are there still wounds that needed to be healed, and did today heal them?
Well, I think, you know, today, I think America saw Mark do what he did, and I think it kind of climaxed the ending of what everybody's been looking to see, and through the long walk, I think, you know, Dad's had so many things brought to light, and this was kind of the final chapter to everything.
Okay, thank you.
So, Roger Maris and Mark McGwire forever linked. Ironies upon ironies. October 1st, 1998, Mark McGwire will turn 35 years old. October 1st, 1961, the year, the day that Roger Maris hit his 61st. Mark McGwire born 2 years to the day after Roger Maris hit his 61st home run. All right, in case you're just getting back from the game and want to see what it looked like on TV, in case you're just joining us, let's recap the Cubs-Cardinals on the night McGwire hit 62. Top one, things started good for the Cubs. Mark Grace up the middle. It scored Jose Hernandez. It gave the Cubs a 1-0 lead. And then Sammy Sosa, who of course has been a huge part of this, got pitches to hit but fouled a few off. And then on 2-2, Sammy ripped City through the left side for a single. First and second, the Cubs would add a second run. They're up 2-zip after one. Bottom one, McGwire's getting ready on deck. And in the meantime, Traxel picks off Delano to Shield. So McGwire comes up with nobody on and 2 outs, and the flash bulbs are popping. On 61, 3-0, and McGwire pulls one. So after one at bats, no home runs. Inning over. Top three, 2-zip, man on first. It's Sosa again. Outside pitch, and he pulls it. 5-4-3 double play, inning over. To the bottom of the fourth, McGwire's coming up. Of course, they have the new infrared mark balls that are being put into play. The Roger Maris family looking on with interest. Again, the mother hospitalized. Her condition not believed, according to a hospital spokesman, to be serious. Steve Traxel's first pitch, history. Barely enough. 341 feet later. The biggest home run of his career is also the shortest home run of this season. Maris family, of course, not the only family in attendance. Mark McGwire's son, Matt, was there. His ex-wife and her husband also there. Family playing a big role. Maris's, McGwire's, Sosa's. What a moment for Mark McGwire. Sammy Sosa comes in. He gives him a big hug. For all intents and purposes, this was a love fest. He has been such a big part of this, and of course Sammy Sosa with his 58 home runs said to McGwire before the game, "I'm still coming at you, big fella." Take another look at the shots off the bats of Mark McGwire. And again, the Maris family and Mark's tribute to Roger and the messages that were sent throughout the evening. Certainly something that the Maris family will bring back to their homes across the country. North Dakota, of course, Fargo probably feels a little bit better about itself thanks to the relationship McGwire has shown to Roger. That was it, and you see, he nearly missed. In fact, did miss first base. There was a rule in baseball which says base coach can't help you back to first, and of course, I think on this night, that rule would be ignored. J.D. Drew in his first big league at bat nearly hit a home run. It went foul. Then Drew went down looking on strikes. In the same inning, McGwire's next at bat, and Steve Traxel intentionally walks him. Wouldn't be booed after 62, and you can understand considering the Cubs' position in the wild card race, but boy, the 11-minute delay, the longest in a regular season game since Cal Ripken's record-setting night, and Traxel was disheveled. 5-2 on a Langford home run. And of course, the night belonged to Big Mac. 62 home runs in 145 games for number 25. His teammates said throughout the course of this season that there were many nights they were in awe. And this, of course, one of them. 6-3, the final score. The Cubs, when they lose ground in the wild card race, would it matter to them? How important is it for them to just sort of get out from underneath the shadow of Mark McGwire and leave St. Louis? As they lose a couple here. The winner on the game is Mercker, but McGwire, 1 for 2, 62 home runs. And how high will he go? Who knows? He has been very cordial with the media, very soft-spoken. What was he speaking about after this evening?
I'm almost speechless. I mean, it's I've been talking about this since January, and I get to 61. It's one swing away, and then next thing you know, I hit a ball that all of a sudden just disappeared on me. And I tell you what, it's I totally believe in fate, and I believe that's what happened this week. And thank the man upstairs. The whole country has been involved in this, I think, since after the All-Star break, and it's just, you know, people have been saying it's bringing the country together. So be it. I'm happy to bring the country together. As I went over to the box and talked to Roger's kids, I told them today when I met with the Hall of Fame, they pulled out Roger's bat that when he hit his 61st home run, and I touched it. I touched it with my heart. Now I can honestly say that my bat will lie next to his, and I'm damn proud of it. It's been awesome. I mean, I tell you what, the last week and a half, you know, my stomach's been turning, my heart's been beating a million miles a minute. It's to do it that fast, I don't know. I just give thanks to the man upstairs and all of them. Roger Maris, Babe Ruth, everybody's watching up there. But it's what a feat. What a perfect way to end the week by the last game in the homestand and hitting the 62nd for the city of St. Louis and all the great fans. You know, I had a couple milestones this year, hitting my 400th and 50th on the road, and I really, truly wanted to do it here. I really, truly wanted to do it here, guys, and I did it. Thank you, St. Louis.
Well, here is the tale of the tape. Chasing history has become making history as far as Mark McGwire is concerned. 1 for 2. He hit it at 8:18 Central Time, 9:18 in the East. His 62nd. Sammy Sosa went 1 for 4 with the walk of the game, and of course he is on 58 home runs. You talk about emotions, Peter. Mark McGwire has begun to wear them on his sleeve, and I think that sort of exposes him, and I don't know how you can help but be impressed with what we've seen over the last 72 hours.
Well, what we've seen is somebody who is human, is frail, is not afraid to cry, is not afraid to admit sorry. He's a very appealing person to a lot of people. He's drawn a tremendous swath on the female audience who see this guy who's dealt with a divorce, who's been a very civil person, still a tremendous relationship with his ex-wife. They've been able to show that you can raise a child in this sort of situation. And believe me, that's an audience that has not been drawn to sports. And that's one of the things. I think that very dignified people around him, from Tony La Russa to Walt Jocketty to Bill DeWitt, I think that whole message that has come forth with the Cardinals has really been wonderful.
Yeah, and I think you got to give a lot of thanks to Mark McGwire. His graciousness to the Maris family, I think, has helped heal a wound that's festered with that family for a number of years. You know, Roger was a lot like McGwire when Mark was younger. He was very introspective, quiet, didn't really want to socialize. But I think maybe if the fans would have showered Maris with the type of love that St. Louis has given Mark McGwire, that perhaps Roger Maris would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, we'll have much more on Roger Maris a little later on this program, but we talk about emotions, and how about the man who manages the St. Louis Cardinals? Tony La Russa came back for this game after the funeral of his mother. He's kind enough to join Jeremy Schaap now live at Busch Stadium. Jeremy?
Carl, when Mark McGwire simultaneously hit his biggest and shortest home run of the year, he shared the moment with his teammates, with his family, with the family of the man whose record he broke, and with his first manager in the major leagues, Tony La Russa. Tony, how proud are you of Mark?
Well, I'm just in awe. I think I'm in awe because coming home this weekend, when you think of the expectations, the fans wanted here locally, wanted him to do something special. We had a 5-game homestand. His family was in town. The media was all here. And how he was able to, it's just like putting, you get that putter back. I don't know how he got the bat back. I don't know how he centered 3 balls, but to hit 60, 61, 62, I'm in awe. And I've grown to admire him, not just professionally, but personally. But I think this is a crowning glory. For him to homer tonight is unbelievable.
How has Mark grown in the 12 years that you've known him as a manager?
Oh, every way. Professionally, he's just, he's such a much better hitter because he's so much smarter, and he's totally dedicated to the craft. I mean, he works every day, and everybody that's in the clubhouse sees him do that. But personally, I'm just overjoyed. His parents would be proud of him. His efforts with child abuse, the way he is with teammates, the way he's representing baseball. I mean, this guy is, I think, the epitome of the role model, and I think he's absolutely golden. I don't think there's even one little nick in his armor.
It seems that this is the first time since the 1994 baseball strike that America's national pastime is again a national passion. Are you proud that your team is part of that?
Well, I'm not, that makes it too personal for me. I'm just privileged that all of us with the Cardinals had a first eyewitness look at it. We saw Mark and Sammy and some of the other great hitters in baseball have really gotten the thing going this year. Along with some great pitchers, but I think obviously what Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa have done here, finally Mark McGwire, that's really captivated everybody, and we just feel privileged that we were here to watch it.
Tony, thanks very much for your time. I know it's been an emotional time for you. Carl, that's it from here in St. Louis.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much to Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa, of course, the manager of Mark McGwire when he was in Oakland. And when McGwire came to Oakland, Tony La Russa did say about him, he was as fundamentally sound as any hitter he had ever seen. There were, of course, a sellout crowd there, 43,688 on hand to witness it. One of the members of the crowd, the commissioner, Bud Selig. After the game, he had this to say and other reaction.
You have made this a summer that generations will remember. To acknowledge Mark for breaking the 37-year-old single-season home run record set by the great Roger Maris, I am honored to present Mark the Commissioner's Historic Achievement Award.
We'd like to congratulate Mark on this unbelievable, remarkable feat and thank him for letting us be a part of it. We have a lineup card with everybody's signature on it as our way of saying thanks for the lifetime of memories. We won't forget these as long as we live.
Mr. McGwire, I think I have something that belongs to you.
To all the Marises for being so kind, supportive, and understanding the true feeling that their father is in my heart. And when I touched this bat tonight before the game, I knew tonight was going to be the night. And I can honestly now say I can rest my bat alongside Roger Maris's bat in the Hall of Fame, and I'm damn proud of it.
Well, I tell you, I mean, we hear a lot of athletes say things, and you kind of look at them and you say, you know, he didn't really mean that. Every time that Mark McGwire spoke this evening and over the last 48 to 72 hours, you genuinely believe everything that's come out of his mouth. Now the question for Mark McGwire is, what do you do next? I mean, is 62 the end? Obviously, he can hit more. Emotionally, though, how about a letdown factor?
I think that can be a letdown for a couple of days, especially where he goes out on the road. He goes to Cincinnati and Houston, albeit very good baseball towns. But I think what we have here is kind of an interesting situation because I think the media will now drop off of this. But about a week from now, if Sammy goes out to San Diego and hits about 3 home runs, this thing isn't over. As he said, you know, somebody asked him about the number. He said, well, see me on September 27th. So we could be in the last 10 days of the season for another race, which is also going to be very compelling. But the great thing is that the national audience has now moved in and started to participate in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many ironies about this whole thing, though, Peter. I mean, tonight, only in middle America, in the magical kingdom of Cardinal Land tonight, all the talk about the baseball, where you're going to sell it or whatever, it barely goes over the fence. One of the kids in the ground crew gets it. I mean, you can't write a script any better than this. I mean, I would have loved to seen a 500-foot home run to really put a capper on it, but, you know, in retrospect, it was probably perfect. It did this, and the kid was able to get it and run it right back to him.
Yeah, because as much as you've talked about this is about families, it's also sort of brought back that very young generation. The kids are now talking about McGwire. They're saying, you know, it may not be Michael Jordan released right now. It's Mark McGwire, who they all want to be like. Of course, Tim Forneris, the grounds crew member, did return that ball. All 6 of the balls that McGwire has hit, his last 6 home runs, the balls have been returned. As for the other vitals, well, 6'5", 250 pounds. You'll all remember that about Mark McGwire. He handles a bat like most handle a toothpick. As for the piece of wood, it's 34 inches and 33 ounces. It's accounted for 62 home runs, and we can count on more.
First pitch, rocket deep toward left. He did it! He did it! He did it! He did it!
McGwire's favorite day of the week to homer is, guess, Tuesday, where he has whacked 15 long balls. And if he doesn't get you Tuesday, Big Mac's weekend tear is equally awesome. He knocked out 11 Saturday and 10 on Friday. The best day for a pitcher to catch him, Monday. He's got 5. The only inning McGwire has gone homerless in this season is the 2nd. His best inning to hit a home run, guess, the 4th. The same inning he belted number 62. He's got 11 home runs that inning. Each of his home runs have been memorable, but how many have been meaningful? 28 of McGwire's homers have either tied the game or given the Cardinals the lead this season. Included in those, 2 walk-off home runs.
The 0-1 pitch. Swung on and a drive to left field. McGwire has hit a 3-run homer, and the Cardinals win again.
There is no advantage for the pitcher when McGwire is batting with 2 strikes. You get ahead, you're behind. He's hit 20 home runs with 2 strikes, 20 home runs with 1 strike, and 22 home runs with no strikes. The only pitch count McGwire hasn't homered on is 3-0. In this historical run, McGwire has beaten up on some less than stellar pitching. Of the 57 victims McGwire has homered against, 18 have 3 or less years of Major League experience. 9 of them, rookies. 25 of the pitchers have ERAs over 4.5, and only 12 of his home runs have come off pitchers with at least 10 wins. 1 Cy Young winner has made the list, Orel Hershiser, but he won the Cy back in 1988. The oldest pitcher to feed Big Mac, 43-year-old Dennis Martinez. In fact, only 4 pitchers were born when Roger Maris hit his 61st in '61. Martinez, Hershiser, Mark Langston, and the man who gave up number 61, Mike Morgan. The youngest pitcher, the guy who gave up number 60, 21-year-old Dennis Reyes. And speaking of young, McGwire's highest home run total against one team is the 7 he's hit against the Marlins, and that includes 1 off a guy who spells his name J-E-S-U-S. Jesus Sanchez, that is. Clearly a season of divine intervention. Well, put him on a plane and he'll give you 5 miles. Mark McGwire's home runs have traveled. Last couple have been laser shots. They haven't been those dramatic, long-lasting bombs, but they got out in a hurry. Sammy Sosa's home runs, the 58 of them have traveled 4.4 miles. So a great deal of distance between the 2 of them.